Hi, Alissa.
Hey, Katy.
Welcome to episode 326, an important discussion on seller-client management with a little bit of mindset mixed in.
Yes, lots of mindset.
So let's back this up. We were consolidating our ideas list, and there were lots of miscellaneous things in this realm. And then we asked for Q&A, and there were a lot more miscellaneous things in this realm.
Which let us know that you out there are struggling with managing your sellers in this market.
Right. And
at every step of the process.
No doubt. A side note, all of our top episodes are about listings or sellers.
Oh.
You didn't know that, did you?
I did not.
So it's a topic that's highly listened to.
Okay.
Okay, now continue.
People need the most help here.
You did a lot of work to structure this in a way that would make sense.
Yes. And also, episode 183, we recorded as a guide for the consumer on how do you sell a house.
Right.
And we recorded it in such a way that you could just share it with your people to listen to as a resource. And we have a few other episodes that we're going to share with you as well.
I like that one. In case you just can't find a way to manage your client, let us do it for you.
Yeah, we will help you manage your client.
We're happy to help.
Yes.
Happy to help. Is that when, it's just a whole guide on selling, though?
Yeah.
Okay.
It didn't fit under any category, which leads me to our categories.
Right,
we took the questions and scenarios and stories and all the things you emailed us, and we categorized them into managing your sellers pre-listing, listed, getting offers, while you're under contract, and at the closing table.
Basically in the order that you would work with the client.
Yes.
Love it.
And this is focused on managing that person, that seller.
Not your workflow.
No.
If you need to know what the exact workflow is, you can get our transaction checklist.
Yeah.
We'll put it in the show notes. But this is more about how are we navigating our sellers and their behaviors during each of these parts of the process.
Being the boss of your job, keeping everything running smoothly, helping them do what we do this all day, every day. They only move every 10 years or so.
I know.
So they need help remembering all the things and understanding the process.
Yes, because they will push back because they have a lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
Hey there, are you looking for ways to save time and money in your business?
Email Templates 101 is the communication system you need to bring ease and efficiency to managing your transactions and clients.
Save time and avoid mistakes, all while providing a high level of service for your buyers and sellers.
In Email Templates 101, you'll get 13 downloadable buyer templates ready for your personal touches.
And 19 downloadable seller templates, plus 6 attachment checklists.
Head over to hustlehumblypodcast.com/courses to get yours today. Okay, so let's start with your pre-listing department.
Okay.
And the very first question you need to ask yourself, because our questions to us from you made us wonder, do you actually want this listing?
That's a great question to start with.
It's not a joke. Like, if you don't want to work with this person, if you don't want to work in this location, if you don't have the knowledge and feel comfortable that you want to learn it, do you want this listing?
Yeah, maybe it's one that you should refer if it's farther than you want to go, or if it's far and the price point doesn't make it a good business decision with how much you're going to have to spend getting there. So don't feel like you have to take every single person that gives you a call.
Yeah, we had a friend who was having a problem in our Q&A that had been prepping with their seller for weeks and weeks, and the seller was being rude and rude to the vendors, and they were now second guessing if they wanted the listing, and it's okay to walk away.
The agent was the one actually second guessing, okay, this is how it's going, and I haven't even started.
We're not on the right foot.
No. So do I even want to work with them?
Okay.
And they did ask, what do I do if I decide I don't want to?
What would you do?
If they were actually rude, I would have no problem saying, listen, I don't think we're a good fit together. I think it would be better if I could refer you to someone else in my office.
Yeah.
Or if you have an agent that was a second choice, you're welcome to interview them. But I don't think you and I would be a good fit.
Yeah.
Also, you have nothing to lose at that point.
Right.
So even if they get upset, it's like, we're not working together. So
right. And I think we also need to revisit our mindset. Like, are they really being rude? Like, I'm not saying they weren't being rude, but
Sure.
like, what are you willing to take as a service professional? I'm not saying anyone should yell at you or be rude to you.
No.
But are you expecting a lot out of someone who maybe is in duress or maybe is in an emotional time or like they just don't know the process or they are resistant because they don't have the money to do what you've suggested? Like, just think it all the way through.
Yeah.
What is your mindset in reference to this person?
I think agents are very quick to say, this person's crazy or they're rude or they're mean. And it's like, no, as your job as a realtor is to help people through a very stressful situation. If you are surprised that people are stressed or that they have a lot of questions or that they call a lot or this or that, there are some times where you should walk away. And there are some times where it's like, I mean, you can, but we work with all kinds of personality types. It does come with the job.
Not every client is going to be your ideal client.
No.
You're going to have to shut down your business if you can't sometimes work with a person that you maybe just don't jive with as well.
Yeah.
Like, as long as they're literally not yelling at you,
yeah,
I think just,
the threshold seems to be lower and lower.
The threshold is super low.
For what agents are expecting.
I will just say, not just this particular question. We receive questions, comments, situations in email all the time. And a lot of times in my mind, I think about, obviously, how would I react in this situation? And it is sometimes surprising to me. I don't consider myself a doormat. And I'm taking a lot more than people are saying they're willing to take.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
I had one where I sold this lady a home. And when that transaction ended, I did not put her on the database. She was not abusive, but geez, Louise,
Right.
Well, even though I didn't keep in touch with her on purpose, she did call me to sell it.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, Alissa, if you're going to do this, you need to be able to treat it like a business transaction. Keep it very, cut and dry. We don't need to
take the listing?
I'm getting there.
Oh, sorry.
If I'm going to take it, this is how I need to be. Am I at a headspace where I can treat this like a business, stay out of my feelings? If she calls me at 10 o'clock at night, I don't need to get upset about it. I just don't need to answer. And I'll just call her back at 9 a.m. So I ended up taking the listing. And yeah, she does things that are a little over the top that I could just be like, oh my gosh, wow. Oh. But instead I'm like, oh, I'm not available right now. I'll call her later. Yeah. I just manage her at my own leisure.
Right.
And it's been going fine.
It's fine.
It's just, maybe we just need to get a little tougher and not let them seep into our feelings so much.
Good advice.
Okay, so we've decided we're going to take a listing.
All right, fine.
Now we're getting into prepping the house for the market. There's so much that has to happen.
Yeah.
And we're not going to deep dive into like how to put a leaf in a bathroom for staging. We have other episodes.
So many staging episodes.
We are, again, sticking with keeping your sellers on track.
Yeah, and I think I learned this actually in a staging class, but it's a great question regardless. When you sit down or when you first hear from this seller, when they first reach out and they're like, we want to sell, what do we need to do? Your first question should be, what is your budget to sell? What is your budget to sell? And it is a bit of a head scratcher. Like, well, I sell, I make the money.
You say this at the listing appointment?
I would do it like in the phone call. Like, if they're asking you how to prepare their home, this is when you need to be asking this question. Okay,
I feel like I can't ask that question without being in the home.
Well,
and
you might have to be there.
Need to do.
Well, but even then, if they're calling you and like, we want to get our house ready, do we change the roof? Do we do this? Do we do that? If they start asking you questions, I think you've got to be, what's your budget to sell?
Sure.
So what was the question we received? They wanted to know how we handle talking to our sellers about things they can do to get the most money for their homes. And then like, what do we mention when we're getting ready? Obviously, most people say pressure wash or like we need to paint your front door, or this particular agent was asking them or telling them to stain their deck or make their yard look good, to declutter. And
yeah, it seemed like the most that the questions were coming in from our listeners was that they were nervous to tell the sellers what to do Because what if it still didn't sell? Or what if spending that money didn't actually help the situation?
Yeah, and they didn't know how much to tell them, or when was it too much, or like, and I think that's where the qualifying question helps. If the seller says, actually, we're in distress right now, we cannot put a dime into this house, then you're going to give them all the staging advice that cost no money.
Right.
If they're like, well, I mean, I guess we have a couple $1,000s, then you'd be like, well, you got to hit the pressure washing, and maybe you need to paint this, maroon dining room. I always pick on our maroon dining room.
I know. I hate a maroon dining room. We have a lot of
maroon dining rooms around here. But, then you would, as the agent and the professional and the expert, you would have this list of things. Let's just say you saw their house and you have the list of things they need to do. And then they say, well, I only have $500 to work with. You have to give them priorities.
Yeah. It is our job to tell them what needs to be done.
Yes.
And so many questions that came in. How do I tell them in a polite way? How do I tell them when it's something sentimental to them? How do I tell them when they don't understand why? And it's like, they have called you because you're the professional. And if you just go in and say, your house looks great.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I have been the second listing agent. And I go to the walkthrough and I make them a list, and it's a lengthy list. And I'm thinking to myself, I hope they're not overwhelmed. And they end up saying, thank you so much for this. Our first agent didn't tell us anything.
Right. Because I think a lot of agents are just so worried about offending the seller, and they want and need that listing, right? So like, I'll do whatever it takes to get this listing. I'll tell you the highest price. Or even higher than I think it should be. I'll tell you your house looks great. Like, I'll just tell you whatever I think you want to hear.
Yeah.
But the truth is, the seller does want to hear your advice, because they don't do this.
And this is a mindset issue. And just as an example, to help you rest assured that you're going to be okay giving your advice, I wish I had exact numbers with me, but of the hundreds of listings I have only had one person tell me I did not get the listing because I mentioned that I didn't like their paint color and that we might need to consider painting because it was brown, not beige, brown. And I was upset because it was a good house, and, I did but then I thought to myself, my other 400 listings,
they were just like, okay.
They sell because I said what I had to say.
Yeah.
I'm not going to change my advice because this one person didn't like my advice.
Yeah.
That advice is what has made me so successful.
Right.
And I'm not going to change that because this one person that one time told me, we're just going to go with someone else. And don't you know, I watched that house on the market.
And
I watched it sit and sit and sit. And the photos were as good as they could be, but the house is brown.
Do you remember? Did they price it how you told them to?
Yeah. Price was the same. It was just that. And it sat forever, and they dropped and they dropped. And I thought to myself, if it was creamy white.
Also, paint would have cost less than these price drops.
Yes. So like, all of that to say, don't let the fear of losing a listing, because that same fear may be what gets you the listing, but then it never sells.
Yeah. And I think some of the questions that we had were about, well, how do I convince them? Or what if they put money in that they can't get back out? I'm like, well, who could know?
Yeah.
These are the things that we know based on how buyers behave in our market that they're going to have a complaint about.
Yes.
You fix it, then maybe you won't have to do a price drop.
And this is your reminder that you're not saying, I don't like your brown paint. You're saying, I have found when I'm walking through houses with buyers, they have trouble looking past dark paint.
Yeah.
You are telling them what you are seeing in the market. This is not your opinion. You're using it based on data.
Right.
Look at the comps. Maybe show them some other pictures. And, we don't want to deep dive too much into staging.
No.
But there are 2 staging episodes that we thought would be very helpful for you to revisit. Episode 73 talks about building a staging closet. Katy and I both keep accessories and small items on hand for that vacant house that just needs to feel a touch of hominess.
Yes.
Neither of us stage with couches,
No.
bedding.
I'm not a staging company.
No.
Mm-mm.
Because one of the questions we did receive was like, staging is so expensive. How do you know, we don't usually do that. If the house is occupied, I'm helping them with what they have to work with.
Yeah, and honestly, the virtual staging has gotten so good.
Yeah.
Now, when you go into a vacant house in person, if it feels dead, like maybe you need a flower in the kitchen and some bar stools and some towels and like just a little, the picture, just something, right?
Yeah.
You know the difference. If it looks great, you can pretty much make anything look good with virtual staging now.
Mm-hmm. And
it looks so realistic. But you also have to keep in mind when they show up to the house, is it like we let all the air out of the balloon?
Yeah.
Like we got to have something sometimes. So that's what we have.
So episode 73 gives you a good idea of some things that you would maybe want to keep on hand. And then episode 276 is another one that we made for the consumer. So if you wanted to share it, it's titled How to Stage Your House. And it gives them ideas, things that you're going to be looking for. I like to send this one. Sometimes I even include it in my pre-listing email. Like once we have the listing appointment scheduled.
Yeah.
And I send the pre-listing email to them with just some information about what to expect. And sometimes I'll even say, in fact, if you want to listen to this episode, it'll just give you some ideas.
Yeah, it's probably time for us to update our email template friends and just add those in.
Yeah.
What you're doing.
Yes.
I have a question for you before we move on from this topic.
Okay.
In reference to the client management piece.
Yeah.
How do you handle it if your seller is not taking your advice?
I tell them, well, based on the comps, we're going to have to list in that lower range. If we have no budget, and you don't live here, so you're not going to clean it. Because I tell my clients who have no money, well, if it's not going to be staged, it's going to be the cleanest, most decluttered house you've ever seen. Because that costs nothing. It costs nothing to clean and declutter.
Correct.
But if they're just not here and they're not doing anything, they won't do anything and they won't pay for it, we're pricing it differently.
Yeah.
And I'm going to market it differently.
What about... because I feel like you say this often, you show up and they had their list and they said they were going to do their list and you show up for photos and they didn't do their list.
So I do have a walkthrough before photos.
Okay.
Like we have our listing appointment and then I go back to make sure we're ready for photos.
Okay.
And then we schedule photos.
Okay.
The second walkthrough isn't always necessary.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I know from the listing appointment that I can work with this, but I do get there to every house. I ask my sellers to leave for photos. I say, load your car with all your personal things that are not in photos, your shampoo in your shower, like all those things that we don't want in the pictures.
Yeah.
Drive around, go visit a friend. I get there 30 minutes before the photographer to zhuzh.
Okay.
Photographer comes, pictures are taken. They come home after. So that way there's no awkwardness.
Yeah.
They're not like in the way. But there has only been, like before I started really doing that, there was 1 or 2 times where I showed up on photo day and called the photographer, said, don't come, called my seller and said, we can't take photos today.
Yeah, it's not ready.
It's not ready. And photos are going to be what sells your home.
Yeah.
They're very expensive. We're not doing this today.
Yeah.
Try again.
Try again. Okay. Last question in the pre-listing realm. What if your seller says they want to price it high because we can always come down? We just need one buyer. What are we doing with that?
Just letting it all goes back to the data.
Right.
Again, I'm not sitting here giving my opinion. I'm like, well, let's look at these comps. This one had a list price. I like to look at list price versus sold price a lot to show them how much a seller had to come down.
Yeah.
I also like to show them the concessions, how much. Yeah, it shows they were asking $280 and got $280, but look at this. They paid $15,000 in concessions.
Yeah.
That's not full price. So just making sure that we're educating them. And I do tell them, if we price so high above the market, there will be no offers.
Yeah.
I'm okay going on the higher end of a range, but we're not going to outprice ourselves. Otherwise, it'll actually hurt your listing.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I wanted to point out with regard to condition is, sellers in the pre-listing time frame are so worried about the condition of their house and getting their house ready. I find I'm very often pulling teeth to get them to send me over their property disclosure or the paperwork that they have to do to get it listed. So one thing that I think coincides with this is when we're talking about prepping the house for the market. We've spent a lot of time talking about like cosmetics, flowers.
What you can see.
What you can see. I give them the property disclosure at the listing appointment. And I say, if there's anything on here that you would have to answer yes is a defect. I advise just going ahead and addressing it now. So that we don't have to disclose a defect.
You'll just be disclosing a repair.
Well, for example, our property, I know every state is different, but just an example. Our property disclosure says, are there any known defects with the windows? If you know your window is broken,
you have to put it in there.
Let's go ahead and replace that window. And now you can check the box. No defect. But I have seen so many times, and I tell my sellers this, I have had situations where sellers did not want to make a repair, so they just filled that property disclosure with known defects. Like, yes, mildew in the shower.
Ew.
Yes, broken windows. Yes, flashing, sticking up.
Terrible.
And the buyers look at that and get red flags. So I tell them,
like, why isn't the seller taking care of their house?
Yes. So it's better if it's a repair or something that an inspector would point out. I just had a conversation on a listing appointment yesterday. It was one of those bathrooms with the vaulted ceilings, really high up there. And the sheetrock tape at the top is peeling. Very common. Is it a problem? No. But if you have a first-time home buyer and the inspector points it out and they think there's a leak up there, I'm like, look, it is better to just address anything that needs to be repaired. I always suggest, I tell them, use this property disclosure as a guide. It's going to ask you a lot of questions about your house. If you don't know the last time your AC was serviced, it's only like $150. Let's get it cleaned and serviced. Use the property disclosure as your guide to make sure all of your stuff is up to date before we even get to cosmetics.
For sure.
And it helps them to fill it out correctly because they're using it also as a checklist. Not just a form that my agent needs me to fill out.
That's a nice way to do it. This is a checklist for you to see maybe what you need to address. Okay. Before we move on from pre-listing, one last thought and talking point on pricing. If your seller wants to price it high because they can't go up, they can only go down, we don't want to... I think it's really important to also explain to them what it means to miss the market, just like what you were saying. If all of the comps, the highest high is $450,000, but they want to price it at $475,000, if you price too high, one of two things could happen. You may just not have any showings. You'll be like, these people aren't serious about selling. Every house in this neighborhood has sold at $450,000 or less. And I think you need to let them know if you price too high, you don't have showings, the only thing you can do then is to do a price reduction. And then maybe you have to do multiple price reductions. And then maybe you barely get into the $450,000 range where you should have been. Already, people are now seeing your listing has been sitting and they don't know it started at $475,000 and you've been coming down. And the new buyers that popped into the market just see a number that says 90 days on the market. They're like, something's wrong with this house. Nobody wanted it. So you missed the market.
By starting too high.
Because the time is important.
So important.
The time is so important. And I think that's what sellers miss. They don't understand that just if they go too long on the market at the wrong price, everyone thinks something's wrong with their house.
You have to adjust quickly if things are not going well.
You can't miss it. You can't miss the market.
I also like to tell them, let's look at the active listings as our guinea pigs. We don't want to be them. Let's look at their days on market. Sometimes I'm like, I have my computer open, my laptop, and I'm like, let's click on the history button. Wow, they've done 2 price reductions that were both pretty significant. We don't want that to be us.
Yeah.
So the sold properties are good to look at, but don't forget about the active ones.
Yeah.
Show the sellers. Look through the photos and say, it's likely that the same buyers who are going to look at your house may be looking at these also.
Yeah.
How do we compare? And then I also like to say, now let's look at the pendings because they're the ones who accomplished what we're trying to accomplish. They're actually under contract. How are they priced? What's their condition?
Yeah.
So you do need to just educate them with the data. This is not an opinion on what you think of their house.
Yeah.
This is data-driven pricing.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Are we ready to move on to it's listed?
It is now listed.
It's listed. Okay.
Yeah.
The question we get here,
lots of questions
so many times is, what do seller updates really look like? Okay. Like how often are we updating them? The seller's upset it's taking so long. What is the update process?
Yeah. The key when a listing is sitting is that you have to beat them to it.
Yeah.
You need to be communicating with them before they reach out to you saying, any update? We haven't heard from you in 2 weeks. Like, have you gotten a single sign call?
Yeah.
Like, so the update process is, here's my thing. I think it's very simple.
Yeah.
But agents feel like they need to really have this grandiose plan in place.
I think agents are hiding out.
Yeah, because they don't have a grandiose plan in place.
We don't want to have confrontation at all.
No confrontation.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to ignore it and hope it goes away.
Telling you how to paint and decorate was fun, but now we're on the market and I don't want to talk to you.
I mean, I just really think you need like you would say, a system. Is it Friday? Is it Monday? When can they expect to hear from you? What are you going to cover in those updates?
Mm-hmm.
What do you like to cover in your update?
Every update I send is just an updated market summary.
Mm-hmm.
I let them know if anything new has come on the market that week, if anything new has gone pending or closed. I also, every time I get a sign call or internet call or inquiry or somebody in my office asked how that house was doing, I let them know.
Yeah.
In the moment, like as soon as I can.
Yeah.
I just say, this is my moment to say, I did this yesterday. I literally said, hey, I just had this couple call me. They were in the car in front of your house. You may have seen them. They said they called my sign. They asked me a few questions.
Yeah.
I told them the price. They said they were not qualified for that price, but I sent them the link to their cell phone number anyway. I just wanted to let you know.
That someone drove by.
That someone drove by and called me.
Yeah, that's all you have to do.
That's an update.
Not every person that's interested or calls you or clicks on the button to view is going to buy the house. You can only sell it once.
Yeah.
But you need to keep your seller aware of, okay, well, we've had, 35 views on the listing this week, 10 saves. Then they'll be like, oh, okay.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Buyers are moving a little bit slower in this market. Rates are doing this. I mean, you can tell them so many things.
You could update them.
You could tell them so many things.
The point is that they just need to hear from you.
Yeah.
They need to know that you have not forgotten them.
Right.
And anytime, I also like to set up like an MLS search to myself in their neighborhood.
Yeah.
I actually started doing this because I had this couple, I had their house for sale. And the second something went active, they texted it to me.
Oh, well, you're like,
and I was like, wow, they're really watching.
They are watching.
And this was years ago. And I thought to myself, I should
just do that. I'll
just do that. So now with my sellers, like the second I see something pop up, I may just shoot it to them and be like, oh, looks like this one came up. Don't worry, we're priced better, or we may need to adjust based on this.
Let's see how this goes.
Like provide some sort of commentary explaining the comparison.
Yeah.
But it gives you plenty to talk about. I heard an agent tell me one time, like, she just is so afraid to call her sellers because she doesn't have anything to say.
Yeah, but there's
plenty
so
to
many
say.
things.
Yeah, no, you're not going to host a petting zoo at the house. No.
No.
Like, you don't have to call with these big, huge ideas.
No.
You just need to let them know you are monitoring the market.
Yeah.
You're aware of what's going on.
You can also remind them, hey, we said when we listed that the average days on the market in your neighborhood is 90 and you're at day 25.
Yep.
No new listings have come on. Nothing has gone pending. So no one beat you to it.
Yeah.
You know? Feeling like something might slip through the cracks in your transactions?
Not anymore. We've got you covered with the Hustle Humbly Buyer and Seller Transaction Checklist.
They walk you through every step from pre-listing or pre-offer all the way to post-closing.
These checklists can be used however you need. Uploaded to your CRM, a transaction management software, your Trello, or even handed to an office admin or your assistant.
So you stay organized, deliver consistent service, and never miss a beat.
Whether you're brand new or a seasoned pro, these checklists help you work smarter, not harder.
Get yours at hustlehumblypodcast.com/checklist to run your business with confidence and ease. I want to ask you, how many listings, what's the most listings you've ever had at one time? You, Alissa.
I think it was like 17.
Okay. One person did write in and say that you mentioned having 15 listings at once. So about that. And you were checking in for like 6 minutes a piece.
Yeah.
And they said that they had close to 10 listings at a time before, and they just were having trouble handling that.
Because it was taking way longer.
It was taking longer.
I think that it takes longer when you don't have a system in place.
Yeah.
I had a system in place, and I was referring to my Friday check-in.
Yeah.
My Friday check-in is when I just like to send them a CMA summary, sort of quickly summarize what happened this week. Hey, I didn't have any sign calls this week. Here is this updated market analysis. This is where we fall on the list. I'm going to be monitoring everything this weekend. Let me know if you need anything.
Yeah. And whether that takes you 6 minutes or someone else 25 minutes, it's a requirement of the job you've been hired to do.
Yeah.
I think it's just like, this is the nature of the beast.
If you find that you can't give a quick update, so you're just not updating, it's time for you to slow down taking listings until you can serve them well.
Yeah. I mean, like if you're at 10 and you don't have the literal time and none of them are rolling off, none of them are going pending, none of them are moving off, you can't take another one. You can put them on a wait list.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I'm at capacity for listings right now. The market's moving a bit slower. So I can take another listing in, 2 weeks when one goes under contract, whatever your rule wants to be.
Yeah.
Or you need to mentally check in with yourself.
Yeah. And that's where the scarcity mindset comes in, is that agents don't want to turn down anything.
Yeah.
But if you have 10 listings and you are not doing a good job with them, taking on more, you're hurting your reputation with every single listing that you take, because that seller then becomes an advocate saying, well, Susie was my agent, but I never heard from her.
Yeah.
Like, she put the sign in the yard and we just never heard anything.
Right.
And that's what they tell all their friends.
Yeah. And your sellers are more disappointed that they didn't hear from you, not that the house didn't sell.
Right.
Like that you have no control over that. And most sellers are aware. I mean, granted, there are some, they're like, make it sell.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do that. But the disappointed part is that they don't know what you're doing. They don't hear from you. They don't know what you're doing.
They need to be communicating. The smallest thing means a lot to them that they heard from you.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the key.
Let's talk about the seller client management of negotiating low offers.
Yeah. I hear a lot, and this sort of ties into picking the price.
Yeah.
But also in negotiating offers, that one thing I hear sellers say very often is like, but what if the buyers just offer super low? Like, what if we get all these low offers? And this is where I like to remind them, like, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, buyers can do whatever they want, and they very well may come in very low because that's what the media is telling them right now.
Yeah.
But you don't have to take it. We will just do a net sheet together and counter.
Right.
You're in control. Let them make their low offers.
Yeah.
I have even shared a few stories where I noticed offers were coming in low, asking for a lot of concessions. Sellers counter to a more reasonable range, and buyers would just take it.
Great.
It's like they also don't want to leave any money on the table.
Yeah.
So they figure we can just ask, and the counter will say a lot. Maybe we'll surprise them.
Right.
And they'd be like, wow, they came down a lot more than I thought they would. I'm glad I started so low.
No doubt.
But the point is, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, let them do what they're going to do. You're in control. And I think that makes them feel good because they feel so out of control.
Right.
We have to remind them that you don't have to sell your house for anything you don't want to.
Right.
That's your choice.
Yeah.
So, in that realm, we had one agent make a really good point that the longer a house sits on the market, new comps are rolling on and off.
Yeah.
So, like, if when you first ran numbers, the comps were a certain way, and now those are too old to use, and the active listings are doing price reductions.
She said they were seeing some houses price drop $40,000 to $60,000. That's a lot.
Yeah.
But if that's happening in the current pendings or the more recent solds or even the actives are dropping their price, and you're not telling your seller that, how would they know?
They don't know.
They don't know that the market is moving.
That's why it's so important to stay in constant communication with them.
Yeah.
Your neighbor just did a price reduction.
Right.
I had a listing earlier this year where, like, me and the neighboring house, and not in like it's not in a bad way, but we were both at $825.
Okay.
Neighboring house went to $799.
Oh dear.
And we were like, oh. And my sellers was like, I feel like we got to do it, So we did. We went to $799.
Okay.
And again, we're sitting. And this was a little bit of a tough neighborhood. It was off of a busier highway, and they were luxury homes, but they were also at the point where they were starting to show their age.
Yeah.
So me and this other listing agent, I'm just watching their listing. Well, I think 20 days later, we had gone to $799, and in 20 days had not had a showing.
Oh, no.
And my sellers were like, let's just go to $775. And I went, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're going to go to $775. I think we need to. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised they're able to. Next day, next door neighbor, $775.
They're like, I can't.
And I was like, wow, we are just, but then we eventually both got down to $750 and both got offers.
Immediately.
Yes. Like within the same week.
What an interesting study. Case
we
study.
helped each other sell.
No, you both got to the right price.
We both got to the right price. And it sold.
There were enough buyers at a certain price. It's a perfect example.
These houses were both on the market for like 5 or 6 months, and they both went under contract in the same week. Same week.
When they both changed the price.
At $750. So it's like, you just have to know what's going on.
There is a right price.
What if we were still at $825?
You wouldn't have sold.
No. They would have.
The market told you what your price was.
Yeah.
Clearly. The market told you what that neighborhood was worth, very obviously. I think it's important to be able to use some terms like market correction to know maybe if your seller is struggling or confused and you're seeing these numbers go down, get the stats for your whole city, not just the neighborhood. Get the stats for your whole state if that helps. This is what's happening. It's not your house. It's not me. It's not you. It's what the buyers and the market are doing.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we ready to move on from the listing?
Yeah, I think we're now pending.
We're going to get some offers.
We are
Did we get the offers?
Yeah, we got the offer.
Okay, we're done.
We reminded we did our net sheet with our sellers.
Oh, please.
We reminded them they're in control.
Yes.
Do you have any general advice you give sellers when countering?
I
have one I kind of have as a go-to.
I really do judge what's happening at that time and what's happening with that listing. And I'm like, look, there are some things that I would or wouldn't counter depending on if I think you're going to scare away this buyer.
Yes.
And I'm very careful to tell them, look, you don't have to take the offer. You can counter whatever you want. But if you don't look like you're willing to give at all with this particular buyer or our situation or your neighborhood or the market, I think you could scare away your only potential buyer.
Yeah.
And your first buyer is usually your buyer. So let's figure out how to make it work.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, I agree with you. The less you're willing to give, the more likely they are to walk away. And I think in the market, as we're recording this right now, I have been seeing more and more concessions. I am getting offers with tons of closing costs, like $10,000 to $15,000, maybe more. They want the home warranty.
Yeah.
They want the seller to do the termite inspection. All these things that are not typically a seller's responsibility.
Yeah.
But when we do our net sheet, I'm like, listen, my advice is what price would you need to counter to cover everything else?
Yeah.
If you're going to give $10,000 in closing costs, what price do we need to counter them with to cover? So then when I present the counter offer to the buyer's agent, I say, listen, we are countering at this price. We figured the other things were so important to your buyer, we did not want to touch them.
Yeah.
If your buyer wants all these other things, their closing costs, their warranty, their inspection, their this, their that, the fridge, the washer dryer, if they want all of those things, this would be our price.
Yeah.
If I was incorrect and the other things aren't as important and you want to rewrite your offer to meet somewhere that mixes these things, feel free. But 9 out of 10 times, they are pretty good with accepting it.
Yeah.
But when you're countering a little bit on the price,
it just looks bad.
It looks bad when you have like 4 things.
It's the same theory behind. You could have asked for 10 repairs that totaled $10,000, or you can ask for, a $10,000 roof and one, you can't, visually speaking, if you start docking every single term, it feels like they're not getting anything.
Yeah.
Right? We're not getting anything we asked for. We're not getting the price because you changed that, even though maybe you didn't go, maybe you came down as a seller, but you didn't go all the way down. You're changing the closing costs. You're changing the closing date. You're changing everything.
Yeah.
I got nothing. I got nothing that I wanted. You're right. If you leave in all that stuff, it's like, all I'm changing is the price.
Yeah, I'm just changing. I'm giving you everything else you asked for.
And I would definitely say it like that.
Yeah.
We're giving every concession they've asked for. We've just simply countered the price.
And that price difference should not change your monthly note very much. So I hope your buyer is pleased with this counter.
Right. I mean,
That's how I end my emails. I hope your buyer is pleased with this counter.
I think that's a really great way to also put the words in that agent's mouth.
Yeah, yeah. I hope you're pleased.
Say it this way. In fact, forward my email if you like.
I kind of write it in such a way that's just forward this.
Yeah, right? I think that's really smart. Perfect. Okay.
Well, now we're pending. And I do believe this is where managing your sellers becomes extremely important.
And the difference between a pleasant ending to this relationship and a very unpleasant ending for you, the co-op agent, the buyer. Like if your seller starts behaving badly now, it's going to be really unpleasant for you.
Yeah. Things are not going to end well. I mean, I guess we could start with sort of the due diligence period once the buyers submit a repair request. Making sure your seller understands that anything they agree to has to be done as it's written.
Yeah.
Receipts.
Right.
It needs to be done correctly.
Yep.
They're going to have a final walkthrough to check your work the day before closing.
Yeah, and you have to have in our contract the repairs done 5 days prior to the closing date. Like you can't just wait until the day of.
However your market handles seller-made repairs, you need to make sure that your seller is extremely clear with what that process is. I have gotten, I got a buyer ask for 6 AC items. So we just had an HVAC company come out and my seller sends me a receipt and I'm reviewing it and one of the 6 items is not listed on the invoice. And he's like, oh, well, they did it. I'm like, well, you need to call the AC company and tell them to put it on there. It has to match.
Right.
But I think, Mr. Seller, their repair request said such and such to be done by a licensed contractor. We agreed to that. That means you can't do it yourself.
No.
So I've had situations where sellers took it upon themselves to make repairs a different way than what they agreed to. So this is where, email templates are important this whole transaction, but having an email template for every step of the process from pending to closing is non-negotiable.
Yeah, gotta have it.
You don't have to have ours.
Yeah.
But whatever you're using needs to be consistent and thorough.
Yeah. And
email templates are amazing, but sellers during this time need reminders.
Yeah.
They're going to forget.
Yeah. Yeah. You can send out your template that says what you got to do, but you also, I think, just judge the situation. If your seller hasn't sent you a single receipt and you know that they have 10 plus repairs to do and it's, 7 days out, but they've got to have them done 5 days out, it's time to maybe before that, it's time to start checking.
Yeah.
Hey, how are those repairs going? You're supposed to be facilitating this transaction.
Yeah, you're not just letting them autopilot.
You do not want to wake up to surprises the day before closing because you didn't check in.
No.
No.
Nothing is worse than the buyer being at the final walkthrough and the buyer's agent messaging you, hey, can you send me receipts? They should have had those receipts.
Yeah, they should have had those receipts.
I should have given you those receipts days ago. But
if you haven't done it yet and they schedule their walkthrough, that should be your trigger. Not when they go to it, when they schedule it. Oh, gosh, I got to get you those receipts.
Yeah, that should be your reminder.
All right, what about occupancy? This, my friends, is your responsibility to talk about when you get the contract.
Yeah.
But heaven forbid you did not do that. We cannot start talking to our seller about when they're moving out and what their occupancy situation is the week of closing.
Yeah.
You need to be maybe after the inspection, just checking in. Hey, looks like we're still a go for this date. Want to make sure you'll be out and ready, cleaned, empty. And I've had sellers try to say, not my sellers, always when I'm the buyer. Suddenly I'm getting a listing agent call. Hey, the seller can't be out on the closing date. They need a couple of extra days to move. They've got to move into their new house. And I'm like, that's not my problem.
No. Yeah.
The contract very clearly stated occupancy to be given at closing.
Actually, so in our email templates right now, it says close date, and then it's the date. And it's like, this is the day that the house has to be empty and clean.
Yeah.
Because I've had so many sellers, what is it? The law that you fill the time you're given?
Oh, yeah.
I have had so many situations this year, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that we're in a market where I'm dealing with more contingencies.
Yeah.
So people are buying and selling at the same time, which, by the way, episode 65 is our contingency episode for you to send to your client to help them think about plan A, B, and C on moving and managing that.
Yep.
But what I have found is that they are sometimes loading the last thing in their car an hour before closing.
Yeah, they didn't know how long it was going to take.
Or they did, but they're like, we had no choice because we didn't want to pay for a pod. Or we did, but then the buyer goes and the house, they're still moving out, and you know how a house looks when the couch is gone, but it hasn't been vacuumed yet, and there's hairballs and crumbs. So I actually put a little asterisk under close date and put the evening before is when it needs to be clean, empty, and ready for a buyer walkthrough.
Oh, that's good.
So I've started telling them this is what needs to happen because this day of closing is pushing it, and they were taking it very literal.
Yeah. You're
I'm like, at least the evening before. I understand if you want to sleep on a blow-up mattress the night before closing, but that's all that's in the house at this point.
Nothing else.
You need to get out. Get out. Also, helping them understand that you're not just emptying it. It needs to be tidy.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a deep, deep clean depending on what your purchase agreement reads in your area. But ours is basically just broom swept, no trash.
Yeah. And it's not actually even written in the contract.
No.
It just says it has to be in the same or better condition as when they wrote the offer.
Yeah.
Well, cleanliness, my friends, is subjective.
Yeah.
But I think it is a good reminder that you tell your seller, how would you want to receive the property?
Well, in the pre-listing, in the you're under contract email, when your house is under contract, yay, I've attached a move out checklist.
Yeah.
Do you know how long ago that was that they got that email from you?
It's been a minute.
We've had inspections, we've negotiated repairs, they've been doing repairs, they've been packing. Now is a good time to resend them that checklist on moving out. I would say when the appraisal goes.
Okay, because you do, if you have email templates, you do get the reminder to send it again with your week before closing email.
Yes.
Reminders. We need this.
And on that move out checklist, it says, if you need a contact for a cleaner or a house cleaner, let me know. The house does have to be tidy.
And it also reminds them what they're allowed to take and not take.
Yes.
Please revisit the lines of your purchase agreement that explain to you, like for us, you can't take the blinds, the curtain rods, the curtains, none of that. That's the stuff that always gets taken. Oh, I didn't know. Oh, my friend was helping me move. Oh, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no, you said you were going to leave the fridge. You better leave the fridge.
Yeah, we will remind people constantly.
Your sellers will forget, and it is your responsibility to make this smooth and easy for them and just remind them. This is so easy. Okay, what about utilities?
Oh, Lord. I've had so many issues with this too. And again, I think it's because of contingencies, because they're like, I didn't want to have 2 accounts. I just wanted to close this one and open it at my new house. Like you just have to have 2 accounts because
for like a day or 2.
Yes, like it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
But making sure that they understand when they should schedule their utilities to be turned off.
You almost lost a whole deal whenever the seller turned them off. And then the agent showed up and the buyer was looking for a reason to get out. And she was like, hey, we're going to do the walkthrough. Was it the next day?
Yeah.
She's like, I just came to do a quick check because the buyer's been so
flighty.
Yeah. And the utilities are off. And I'm telling you right now, they will use that out.
Yeah.
If they're not on tomorrow. You could
lose a whole contract. Yeah. And I had to bust my butt to get these utilities back on so that the buyer couldn't say, you defaulted in the contract and the utilities are off, so I'm not closing. Because he could have done that technically.
Right.
Technically.
Yes.
These are the things that when people are looking for an out,
they will take their outs.
They will take it. If the repair is not done, they can take their out.
Yeah.
Like anything that they are just.
Like I don't have to close.
Yeah.
Sue me.
Yeah.
Contract says I don't have to close. So utilities, I think, what do you tell your sellers? I mean, I just am like, look, I double check with the buyer side to be like, hey, have your buyers called? Here are the list. When are they calling? And I'll tell them the seller's turning them off. I usually just do the day after close.
I tell all my sellers the business day after closing.
Yeah.
You know, because it used to say the day after. And then they're like, but the next day is Saturday because we close on Friday. I'm like, Monday then. Tell the utility company out of your name on Monday.
Yeah.
The point is that the buyers are going to call to have it in their name for the closing date.
Right.
So even, because they're like, I don't want to pay for them all weekend. I'm like, but also if the buyer calls to turn them on Friday,
it will.
And they see that you have it set up for cancellation Monday, they'll go ahead and put it in the buyer's name.
It just gives enough grace period, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do have in my email templates schedule utilities like the day after, the business day after closing. I need to put in parentheses, yes, even if the next business day is a Monday, because I get that call all the time.
Yeah.
You know, when I get the calls all the time, that's my trigger that something needs to be updated in the template.
For sure.
Because they're stumped by this.
All right, it's time for closing. Oh, we are almost there, friends.
Ooh.
Okay, where do the sellers mess up here?
They bring nothing to closing.
Nothing. I had one recently. I had the key because I took it out of the lockbox at the walkthrough the day before. And then I'm like, okay, we're closing. Doing our thing. I'm like, do you have the keys? They're like, oh, yeah, I think they're out in the truck. Then they leave closing, and I'm still in there talking to my buyers. And I was like, oh, wait, I had to run into the parking lot to flag down the sellers and be like, keys, please?
Yeah.
Keys,
Garage
please?
clickers?
Yeah.
Mailbox keys?
What do you got?
Like, I need all the stuff that goes with the house.
Where are all the keys? Because I don't want to cause my buyer to have to get a locksmith to cut off the padlock you put on the back gate.
Right.
Like, give me the keys.
So many things.
The alarm codes. Anything that, like, hey, can you tell me the things I need to know so that I'm not trying to track you down later?
Right.
So you got to remind your sellers about that.
I also think it is important to message your client. Like when I get the closing disclosure from the title company, I always screenshot that bottom number that says this amount goes to the seller. And I text my seller and I say, hey, they just emailed us the closing disclosure. It shows you are getting a check back for this tomorrow. I have reviewed it. I want to make sure you review it before closing. I remember a title attorney complimenting me telling me that my seller clients are always so prepared.
Yeah, like got
at the closing table. And they even say, because you know how they always say, have you already reviewed this or would you like to go over it in specific detail? She's like, your clients always say, my agent and I looked at it yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
that's right.
Thank you. But it's like, you want to make sure that they aren't like, if they at the table say, oh, I actually haven't looked at it at all, that's on you. Like, to me, that's like a measure of my success.
Right.
Like, I want to make sure that they are prepared. They're not surprised. What if they're surprised at the number? Like, even though you've done net sheets.
Yeah.
What if they just, in their mind, at the closing table is the first time they see what their check is going to be? Yeah. That could be a really awkward moment.
Yeah, because normally it's not something you did wrong. It's that they didn't know their payoff.
Right.
Or they didn't remember they had a second loan. Or they didn't know they had a back HOA dues. Like a lot of times it's something that you wouldn't know and didn't know. Mm-hmm. But they're like, oh.
So just helping them manage their expectations for closing.
Okay.
Making sure they reviewed their closing disclosure before they sit down to it in front of other people.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, I feel like all of this was about managing the person and the transaction.
Okay. There was one final detail that you liked. You went to a closing specifically where the agent at closing asked their seller a list of questions and wrote down the answers and then handed it to the buyer.
Yes. So I've said this before, like in earlier episodes. Sometimes like I really dislike closings. I hate, especially if you have a slow title attorney and it takes the whole hour.
Yeah.
And everyone's just sitting there twiddling their thumbs, looking at each other. And then the part when the attorney leaves to go make copies and they're gone for like 10 minutes and you're just sitting there like, so when are you moving in? Awesome. And then the seller gets nervous and starts anxious rambling about the switch that is tricky to work. And you're just like, This agent, okay, we had a closing. The attorney gets up to go to make copies, and this agent like pulls out a little sheet of questions that she has for my seller. She's the buyer's agent. And it was things like, do you know which thermostat works which rooms?
Oh, great question.
And I was like, wow, that's not on any of my checklists. And then, do you have recycling? What are the trash days? Who did you like for your internet?
Yeah.
Like, and she just...
Who cuts the grass? Who cleans the pool?
She just asked them all those questions. And here's the thing I liked about it. It filled the silence. She wrote down all the answers, then gave it to her buyers who treated it like gold.
Yeah.
I thought it was good too because how many times are your sellers moving and the buyer's agent sends you a questionnaire for them to fill out of all these things? Like, I've had it happen a few times where like the buyer's agent has this questionnaire and they send it to me like the week of closing and say, can you ask your sellers to fill this out? My sellers, meantime, are running around like chickens with their heads cut off, trying to clean the house. I guess the efficient part of me thought this is the perfect
how it was being done.
Yeah, like she saved her questions till the end.
Yeah, saved your questions till the end.
And you could do it too as the listing agent.
Yeah.
Make your own little questionnaire, ask your sellers, and then if the buyers ask any questions while y'all are there, write it on the bottom.
Yeah.
And then at the end, give it to the buyer's agent. This is another
use case for picking up the phone and calling your client. Yeah. If you send them a questionnaire via email, they have to, even if they have to respond in the email and type it all up, it takes time. If you just call and are like, hey, how's the move out going? Any questions about getting your repairs done? Okay, everything's good. Looks like we're on track. I just have a few quick questions, if you don't mind. Who cuts the grass? Like, if you just ask them on the phone and they just tell you.
Yeah, fill it out. You fill it out. Just do it for them.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was a very good use of time.
Agree.
And I appreciated how it went.
Okay, perfect. I love it. That's all of it.
That's a lot of managing to do.
That's your whole freaking job.
That's our job.
That's literally your job. If you don't want to do your job.
If you aren't doing this, you need less listings until you can get a good system in place.
Right.
And once you feel confident in your checklists and your templates and your management skills, then you can start taking on more listings.
Yeah.
And when your system is running like a well-oiled machine, the sky's the limit.
Truly.
Yeah.
I love it.
This was good.
Are you ready for a toast?
Let's do a toast.
Okay, bye, y'all.
Hey, my name is Rhonda Brown. I am from Columbus, Georgia, and I want to toast my cousin and business bestie, Chantrell Davis. We came into this game together and we have just been so supportive of one another. I can call her anytime. She talks me off the ledge, talk her off the edge, but I just want to toast her for being the best realtor, business bestie, and cousin that I've ever had.
Wait, before you go, if you enjoyed this episode and if we brought you value, take a minute to rate the show, leave a review, or drop a comment.
We are giving away our best stuff for free. Find it at hustlehumblypodcast.com/freebies.
We'd also love to see you in Hustle Humbly community. Join us there at hustlehumblypodcast.com/membership.
We love chatting with you in our DMs. Find us on social media at Hustle Humbly Podcast and say hello.
If you have an episode topic or someone you'd like to toast on the show, please email us at team@hustlehumblypodcast.com.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Hustle Humbly Podcast. See you next week.